Welcome to Small Biz Mama, episode 27, self-care for every mama. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this episode is because I think it's critically important that we talk about self-care. And so you guys know this, you know what you're supposed to be doing. So what we're going to do in this episode, we're going to be talking about the 4 questions that you need to ask yourself to make sure that you get the kind of self-care that you need when you need it. Okay. So 4 questions that you've got to figure out so that we can get that self-care for you. Okay. That's what we're going to do today. All right. So the first question you need to ask yourself is what? I think that we throw around this concept of self-care all the time. We have to have self-care and it has to be self-care and self-care, right? And it's like the buzzword, right? But what does that mean for you? Because the problem is it means something different for everybody. So, honestly, like for me, self-care looks like a couple different things. Sometimes for me, self-care means like I need a craft night. Like I just want to play with my Cricut machine. Sometimes self-care means, 20 minutes in the middle of the day in the massage chair. Okay. Sometimes self-care just means going to bed early, right? And so the first thing you have to do is you have to determine what self-care is for you. And in order for you to pick the right thing, it's got to be something that recharges you. Because, like if you go and get your toes done and that kind of grosses you out and it doesn't really relax you, then it's not self-care. Okay, that's somebody else's definition of self-care. So determine what works for you. Okay. The second thing is, when are you going to do this? This is really important because I think a lot of times we just think like, okay, I am going to, I'm going to get more sleep. Okay, awesome. When? How are you going to do that? Like when, right? Or we say, oh, I'm going to go get a pedicure. Okay, when? Right? Because there are other logistical things that you've got to figure out in order to make this happen. Okay, so you've got to determine when you're going to do this. Now, for some of you, especially during COVID, we've got to think about, okay, so, what is actually open? When is it open? If it's just you, then you might have to say, okay, you know what? This has got to be something that I can do when my kid is napping or after my kids go to bed. Okay. Or maybe it's first thing in the morning before your kids wake up. And so that's why, it's really important to think about like what you want to do first and then figure out when you're going to do it. And then another thing that you've got to figure out is where you're going to do it. So for example, I love going for walks. Okay. But sometimes, if Jeff isn't around or Jeff's really busy, it's just not feasible for me, to go for a walk. So sometimes what I'll do when Eric's napping is I'll actually like walk the perimeter of our yard. We have a decent sized yard. And so if I do laps in the yard, like that works. And what I'll do is I'll just take the baby monitor with me. I know it sounds really silly, but it gets me outside. And that for me, right? So when I think about my what, a lot of times my what involves like being outside. Being outside lowers my heart rate. It just makes me feel really good. And so if I can work being outside into my self-care, that helps me. So, when you think about where, right? Logistically, depending on your situation, that can be really, really important. Okay. So again, what, when, and then where. Okay. I know this is starting to sound like a journalism project, right? I was kind of thinking about that when I was coming up with this episode. Okay. And then the last thing is you've got to work out how. Okay. And how is going to look a little bit different for everybody. So if you want to go for a 2-mile walk first thing in the morning, around your neighborhood, you gotta think, okay, what about my kids? Right? That's my how. And so that means, it's like for me, that means that either Jeff or my mom are watching Eric. Um, I don't wake up incredibly early in the morning, right before everybody else does, because I like being there when Eric wakes up. So, the how is kind of like logistically, how do you make this happen with the constraints that you have? Right. And so, if, sometimes if you're really into bubble baths, then, the bubble bath might happen, after your kid goes to bed, right? With a little bit of soft music in the bathroom. But if you've got something where, you've got to plan logistically, right? So do you need somebody to come over to watch your kids so that you can go out and do this? That's where the how comes in. Okay. So I like having like a list of things that really charge me up. Okay. And so to have kind of like a self-care menu that, some of them can be done at home, some of them can be done out in the yard, some of them, are like real days out. Okay. Which, would be wonderful. But not always practical, right? Especially right now. So if you kind of have like a list, maybe have it on your computer somewhere, have it, if you have a planner that you use, and add to it. So if you're like, wow, that sounds really cool, I'd love to try that, put it on there. And then see like, okay, so based off of what's going on right now, the timing that I have, what can I get in to help myself out? It doesn't have to be complicated. I think a lot of times we think that, self-care is either something that we know we should be doing, but we're not, you know. And as far as I'm concerned, like that's not really self-care. Like that's stuff you're supposed to be doing, like sleeping, eating, getting some exercise. That's stuff we should be doing. But unfortunately, somehow, like being a mom, we think that like it's indulgent, to get 8 hours sleep, or to have some alone quiet time in the evening. That's indulgent, and it's not. It's really not. I think that we have these expectations of what a mom is supposed to be. It's that whole, we should be able to do anything, right? But the problem is you can do anything, but you can't do everything. Okay. And so we kind of have to pick and choose. Sometimes we think that self-care is this thing where like, in order for it to be meaningful, it has to be, a weekend at the spa or a girl's vacation. And yes, that stuff is awesome. But if you're living at, one of those two extremes, then you might not be getting the self-care that you really need that's going to charge you up. So you've got to find the things in the middle, the things that are not, routine things that you should be doing because you're a human being and you deserve it. But not the 4-day, retreat with the girls. There are the things in the middle that are things that you don't necessarily do on a regular basis, but that really, really excite you and really charge you up. Maybe it's a virtual art class. Maybe it's an actual art class. Maybe it's going to a museum or going to a park. it's funny because for me, like, and this is not something we do all the time, but for me, we have a fire pit that we don't use as much as we probably should. And so having a fire in the fire pit and just sitting outside under the stars is pretty relaxing for me and pretty recharging for me. But it's different for everybody. And so you've got to kind of figure out, what is that thing for you? But I don't want you to confuse self-care with just taking care of yourself and doing the things that you know that you need to do. So, to determine what self-care works for you, you need to ask yourself 4 questions. And those questions are, what am I going to do? Build yourself a self-care menu of things that you can do that are going to recharge your spirit. Number 2, figure out when you would do these things. First thing in the morning, at the end of the evening, maybe in the middle of the day and you get some childcare, okay? But when are you going to do this? Where are you going to do this? Is it inside the home? Is it outside the home? Is it an excursion that you need to take? Figure out where. And then finally, how? So how are you going to do this? How are you going to bring the pieces together to make this happen? Is your spouse going to help you out, or your significant other? Is it something that, like, you need to bring in some help? I think one thing that we don't do well enough as parents as moms, is to find that buddy that, like, hey, you know what, mama, you need your self-care. So how about Tuesday, I'll take the kids. And then Thursday, you take the kids, so that we can both have our time. Okay. So, think about, like, logistically, do you have somebody that you could pair up with to help you make this happen? All right. So I would love to know, I'd love to know some of your answers to this question, to these questions. So what is something self-care wise that really charges you up? Let us know, shoot down in the comments below, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're on our website, or go to the Small Biz Mama page on Facebook, and let us know, how are you practicing self-care this week? All right, mamas, thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, make sure that you hit subscribe. Your ratings and reviews are really important to the show. So if you haven't already done so, give us a rating and a review. Be honest. Let us know what you think. All right, mamas, I hope that you take some time for you, because we all really need it right now. I'm wishing you lots and lots of restful, recharging self-care. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Love ya.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.